The door burst open like a gunshot in the dead of night. And there he was, Stephen, my straight-as-an-arrow best friend of 15 years. Frozen in the doorway with his keys dangling from one hand and a six-pack in the other. I was stark naked, steam rising from my skin like fog off the Hudson. Towel forgotten on the bathroom floor after the world's most pointless shower. His eyes locked onto mine, then dropped, then snapped back up, and in that split second, the air thickened with something heavier than shock, betrayal. Maybe, or the raw edge of truth we'd both been dodging since high school. "What the hell? Alex?" he choked out, his voice cracking like it did back when we were kids racing bikes down those cracked Brooklyn sidewalks. But this wasn't some prank gone wrong. This was the unraveling of everything. The moment my secret heart cracked open and bled onto the linoleum. I scrambled for the towel, heart slamming against my ribs like it was trying to escape, but it was too late. The beer slipped from his grip, cans clattering across the threshold, and in his face, I saw not disgust, but a flicker of something that mirrored my own buried ache, confusion, fear, and God help me, a spark of recognition that would torch our world to the ground. That night in my cramped Queens apartment, with the distant wail of the subway rumbling like an old man's cough, Stephen didn't bolt. He didn't laugh it off with that easy grin he flashed during our pickup basketball games at the park. The ones where he'd dunk on me just to hear me curse him out in that half-hearted way that always ended with us splitting a slice at Luigi's. No. He stepped inside, kicking the door shut behind him with his boot, and the click of the lock echoed like a judge's gavel. "Alex, man." I knocked. Twice. His voice was low, strained, like he was holding back a storm. He was still in his work shirt from the auto shop, grease stains blooming on the sleeves like dark flowers, and his hair, that perpetual mess of sandy waves, stuck up from where he'd run his hands through it 100 times that day. Stephen had always been the steady one, the guy who fixed engines and hearts without asking for thanks. The straight-laced hetero dream with a fiancé waiting in their Jersey suburb dream home. Or so I told myself, night after night, scrolling through his Instagram like on some girl's bikini pic just to remind myself why I could never cross that line. I clutched the towel around my waist, water dripping from my curls onto the faded hardwood, and forced a laugh that came out more like a wheeze. "Yeah, well, timing's a bitch. You here for the game? Mets are down 3 already." It was a lie. We'd planned to watch the playoffs. Sure, but my brain was a scrambler, flipping through excuses faster than a Wall Street trader dodging the SEC. He didn't buy it. His eyes, those piercing blue ones that had gotten him out of more bar fights than I could count by just staring down the other guy, bored into me. "The game's not starting for another hour. I came early because..." "Shit, Alex." Donald called me. My stomach dropped like I'd just missed a step on the stairs. Donald. The name hit like a sucker punch from the shadows. Donald Hargrove, my ex from college. The one who'd ghosted me after graduation with a text that read, "This was fun, but I'm out, family stuff." We'd met at NYU. 2 wide-eyed kids from blue-collar families chasing film degrees in the city that chewed up dreamers and spat out baristas. He was the first guy I'd ever said, "I love you" to, whispered against the curve of his neck in a dorm room that smelled like ramen and regret. And now, somehow, he'd clawed his way back into this moment, naked and exposed as I was. What the fuck did that asshole want? I snapped, the towel slipping a fraction before I yanked it tight. Donald had been radio silent for years, ever since he bailed to chase some corporate gig in Chicago, leaving me to pick up the pieces of a heart I'd barely known was fragile. We'd been electric, late-night walks along the East River, stealing kisses in dive bars where the jukebox played Springsteen like a soundtrack to our rebellion. But he'd always had that shadow, the one cast by his Bible Belt parents who shipped him north with warnings about city temptations. I'd ignored it, chalked it up to nerves, until one day he just vanished. Stephen shifted, rubbing the back of his neck. That telltale sign he was about to drop a bomb. He said, "You reached out." Said, "You're spiraling. Man, drinking too much. Dodging calls. Told me to check on you before you do something stupid." His gaze flicked down again. Involuntary. And I swear the room temperature spiked 10 degrees. Is it true? About the drinking? I wanted to scream that it was none of Donald's business. That the only spiral I was in was the one that started when Stephen first walked in my life at 14. All lanky limbs and easy charm. During freshman orientation at our shitty public high school in Bay Ridge. We'd bonded over shared misery, absent dads, moms working double shifts, and by junior year, he was my anchor. The straight guy who never made me feel like the gay kid was a punchline. But loving him? That was the secret I'd buried deeper than Jimmy Hoffa's grave. The one that had me faking laughs at his stories about dates. Nodding along when he bragged about popping the question to Emily last spring. "It's bullshit," I muttered, turning away to grab a pair of jeans from the laundry basket. "Donald's just stirring shit because he saw my profile pic with that guy from the bar last month." Jealous much? It was half true. I'd hooked up with a random once. A forgettable blonde who tasted like cheap whiskey, just to prove to myself I could move on. From Donald. From Stephen. From the whole goddamn mess. Stephen sighed, heavy and world-weary, and cracked open one of the surviving beers from the floor, handing it to me like an olive branch. "Look, I don't care about your exes or whatever. You're my brother, Alex. We've been through worse than some naked walk-in." He paused, taking a swig from his own can, foam clinging to his lip. "Remember that time in college, when we drove cross-country in your beat-up Civic, flat tire in the middle of Nebraska, no cell service, and you swore you'd hitchhike to the next town if I didn't fix it?" I couldn't help the grin that tugged at my mouth. "Yeah, and you did, with that pocket knife and duct tape from the glove box. Called it redneck engineering. We'd laughed till dawn in that motel off I-80, sharing a queen bed because the place was booked solid. His snores a comforting rumble that kept the loneliness at bay. That trip was the peak of us, two guys against the world. No labels, no lies, until life started slapping them on. We settled on the couch, the game flickering to life on the TV, but neither of us watched. Stephen talked about Emily, how wedding planning was turning her into a bridezilla, quoting her latest rant about napkin colors with that fond exasperation that twisted my gut. "She's got me in a tux fitting next week." Tales, Alex. Actual tales. Like I'm some penguin in a rom-com. "Sounds painful," I said, forcing lightness. But my mind was elsewhere, replaying Donald's betrayal like a bad loop. Why now? Why send Stephen, of all people, to play White Knight? Unless... No. Donald knew better. He knew about my feelings for Stephen, the ones I'd confessed in a drunken haze one night after a screening of Brokeback Mountain, tears streaming as we passed a joint on my fire escape. It's him, Don. Always has been. He'd held me then, promised it was okay, that Stephen would come around someday. Lies? All of it. By the third inning, the beer's buzz softened the edges, and Stephen's arm slung casual over the back of the couch, inches from my shoulder. "You ever think about settling down?" he asked out of nowhere, voice slurred just enough to blur the lines. "Like, for real? Not those one-night deals you pretend aren't killing you?" My throat tightened. Every day, I admitted, staring at the screen where the Mets pitcher was unraveling. But who has time for that in this city? Grind's too real, auditions, rejections, the whole starving artist shtick. He nodded, but his eyes were on me, not the TV. "Emily says I'm afraid of commitment." Bullshit, right? I mean, I'm popping the question in 6 months. There was the knife twist. Steven, the guy who'd fist bumped me through every breakup, every bad review on my short films, was building a life that excluded me by design. Right? I echoed, draining my can. Bullshit. The night blurred from there. More beers. Bad jokes. The kind of male bonding that felt like home until it didn't. When he crashed on my pullout, snoring softly in the dim light from the street lamp, I lay awake, towel long discarded, skin still prickling from his gaze. Donald's call was a warning shot, but Steven's presence? That was the war. Morning came with a hangover and a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. I deleted it, but the seed was planted. Little did I know, it would grow into thorns that snagged us all. The next week dragged like a bad edit. My days a montage of coffee runs and cattle calls for indie gigs that paid in exposure. I was editing a doc on queer history in the village, interviewing old-timers about Stonewall while my own life felt like a footnote. Steven texted memes, cats in ties, captioned me at the tuck shop, and I replied with emojis, keeping it light. But every ping was a reminder of that night, the way his eyes had lingered. Then Donald showed up, unannounced, like a ghost in khakis and a button-down, standing outside my edit bay in Bushwick with a coffee in hand and that same crooked smile that used to melt me. Black, 2 sugars. Your vice hasn't changed. I snatched it, scalded my fingers. What the hell are you doing here? Chicago not glamorous enough? He leaned against the brick wall, all polished now, like the ad exec life had ironed out his edges. Heard you were struggling. Thought I'd fly in, play hero. His eyes searched mine, and there it was, the old pull, laced with something sharper. Guilt? Steven filled me in last night. Over drinks. Said you're off. My blood ran cold. Steven and Donald? Drinking? You 2 buddies now? That's rich. Donald winced, running a hand through his neat fade. He reached out after your call. Said he was worried. Alex, you left a voicemail. At 2 a.m. Slurring about how you'd never measure up. How Steven's the one who got away. I hadn't. Or had I? Blackout nights were my specialty lately. The kind where Jack Daniels whispered truths I regretted by dawn. Get out, I said, voice steady despite the quake inside. You don't get to swoop in after 4 years and fix me. But he didn't leave. Not then. He followed me inside, past the humming monitors, and sat through my interview with a drag queen named Ruby, who eyed him like yesterday's trash. Honey, if he broke your heart once, what's he doing sniffing around now? Men like that, they only come back when their own bed's cold. She was right, but I didn't listen. Donald stayed for dinner, takeout Thai from the spot on Knickerbocker, and we talked like old times, skirting the landmines. About the industry, how my scripts were gathering dust while his billboards lit up Times Square. You're better than this grind, he said, fork midway to his mouth. Come to Chicago with me. Start fresh. It was temptation wrapped in familiarity, the kind that almost drowned out the echo of Steven's laugh. Almost. That night, as I walked him to the subway, he pulled me into an alley off Graham Avenue, the kind where graffiti whispered secrets to the rats. I never stopped loving you, he murmured, lips brushing my ear. Family pressure. It broke me. But I'm free now. Divorced the girl they picked. Came out to mom last month. She's still praying for my soul. But fuck it. His hands on my waist, warm through my shirt. And for a heartbeat, I leaned in. But then, headlights sweeping the street. A horn blaring, and I pulled back. Too late. Dawn. Way too late. He nodded, eyes wet in the sodium glow. Think about it. For us. Us. The word lingered like smoke as I trudged home. The city pulsing around me, honks, laughter from a rooftop party, the eternal hum of ambition and ache. Stephen called then, voice tinny through the speaker. Hey, loser. You up for hoops tomorrow? Emily's out of town. Need to blow off steam. Yeah, I said, collapsing onto my bed. I'm in. But as I stared at the ceiling crack that mapped my regrets, I wondered if steam was all we'd ever blow off. Or if Donald's ghost was the crack in the dam, flooding everything. The basketball court in McCarran Park was a war zone that Sunday, puddle from last night's rain turning the blacktop into a slip-in slide. Kids yelling in Spanglish from the chain-link sidelines. Stephen was already there, dribbling lazy figure eights, his tank top clinging to that broad chest hone from years of wrenching on cars and hoisting kegs at block parties. You're late. Russo. Thought you bailed for another deep edit session. I jogged over, snatching the ball mid-bounce. Nah, just dodging X's. Donald's in town, stirring the pot. His shot faltered, the ball rimming out. Yeah, we talked. He's a prick, but he cares. Said you two might rekindle. Jealousy? No, couldn't be. Stephen was straight, Emily's ring size tattooed on his brain. Rekindle? That's his fantasy. Mine's more like arson. We played hard. Shirts sticking, breaths ragged, the sun beating down like Judgment Day. Between plays, he asked about the doc, genuinely interested in the stories of drag balls and act-up marches. Sounds heavy. You okay? Carrying that. It's just history, I lied, sinking a three-pointer that swished clean. Remind me why we fight. But inside, it was a mirror, my own closets, the ones I cracked but never kicked down. Stephen didn't know the half of it, the prayers I'd whispered as a kid in ST. Patrick's, begging God to fix me, the hookups in college bathrooms that left me hollow, the way loving him felt like swallowing glass. Sharp and inevitable. He grabbed the rebound, spinning a no-look pass that I barely corralled. Well, if Donald's history, why's he crashing at your place tonight? He texted me, said you invited him. I missed the layup, ball clanging off the rim like a bad omen. What? No. He must have, but the pieces clicked, his think about it, the way he'd eye my couch like a foothold. Stephen's phone buzzed then, Emily's face lighting the screen, and he stepped aside to answer, his laugh carrying over the court like shrapnel. By the time we wrapped, sweat slick and spent, the sun was dipping low, painting the skyline in bruised purples. Pizza, he suggested, slinging his gym bag over one shoulder. My treat. And no ex-talk. I mean it. We ended up at Joe's on Bedford, the original spot with the coal oven that charred the crust just right, booths scarred from decades of lovers' quarrels. Stephen demolished half a large, pepperoni grease shining on his chin, while I picked at mine. Appetite soured. Remember when we snuck in here after prom? He said, wiping his mouth with a napkin. You in that rented tux. Me puking in the alley from bad punch. I chuckled. The memory a balm. You blamed the DJ. Said his beats were toxic. Still stand by it. His foot nudged mine under the table. Accidental. But the contact lingered. Electric. Alex. Seriously, Donald's bad news. He hurt you once. Don't let him do it again. Why do you care so much? The words slipped out, beer loose and bold. He blinked, for pausing. Because you're family. And, I don't know. Seeing you like that the other night, vulnerable, it messed with me. Made me realize how much I take for granted. The air shifted, heavy with unsaid things. I wanted to spill it all, the crush that started with his hand on my shoulder during our first fistfight win. The envy at his easy straighthood. The terror of losing him if I confessed. But Emily's photo watched from his lock screen. A sentinel. Instead, I nodded. Thanks. Man. Means a lot. He drove me home in his truck, Springsteen crooning Thunder Road on the radio, windows down to let the evening breeze whip through. At my stoop, he idled, engine rumbling. If you need me to kick his ass or whatever, call. Will do. I hesitated, then clapped his shoulder, the muscle warm under my palm. Night, Steve. Inside, Donald was sprawled on my couch. Laptop open to some pitch deck. A bottle of my good scotch half gone. Hey, stranger. Missed you at the court. How'd you know? I demanded. Keys jangling like accusations. Stephen mentioned it. We're reconnecting. Actually, for your sake. His smile was all teeth. No warmth. The lie burned. Stephen. Talking to him? Plotting? Get out. Now. He stood. Slow. Closing the distance. Alex. Listen. I know about your feelings for him. Always have. That's why I left. Couldn't compete with a ghost. But he's straight. Babe. Engaged. And I'm here. Real. His hand grazed my arm. And I jerked back. Heart hammering. You told him? About the voicemail. A beat. Not everything. But enough to make him see you need help. Rage boiled up. Hot and righteous. You manipulative fuck. This isn't concern, it's control. I shoved him toward the door. The scuffle brief, but brutal. His elbow clipping my jaw before he stumbled out. Cursing. Alone. I slid down the wall. Jaw throbbing. Tears hot on my cheeks. Donald's words echoed. He's straight. But that look in Stephen's eyes the night he walked in. No. Wishful thinking. The kind that got poets killed. I texted Stephen. Donald's gone. Thanks for the heads up. No reply. Hours ticked by. The city sleeping while I paced. Paranoia blooming. What had Donald whispered over those drinks? That I was unstable? Obsessed? By dawn. My phone lit up. Not Stephen. But an email from a producer. Rejection on the doc pitch. Too niche for mainstream. The universe. Laughing. Work that week was a blur. Endless cuts on B-roll of pride parades. Faces fierce and faded staring back like accusations. Ruby dropped by the bay. Her heels clicking like castanets. Spill. Darling. You look like death warmed over. Over vending machine coffee. I unloaded. The walk-in. Donald's ambush. Stephen's distance. She lit a menthol. Exhaling wisdom. Straight boys? They're like NYC real estate. Promise the world. Deliver a studio with roaches. But you're Steve? Sound scared. Not indifferent. Give him space. But don't let that ex play puppet master. Her words stuck. A lifeline. I called Stephen that night. Voicemail. Hey. Ignore the text. Rough night. Oops, Friday. Relief when he called back. Voice gruff. Yeah. Man. And sorry about Donald. I should have warned you he was crashing. We didn't mention it. Falling into rhythm like always. But on the court, his passes were sharper. Shots fiercer. Like he was fighting shadows. After, at the diner on Lorimer, he stirred his eggs. Unusually quiet. Emily and I. We're fighting. About the wedding. She wants kids right away. Big family. I'm not sure. My fork froze. That's huge. You okay? He shrugged, but his eyes were stormy. Grew up with just mom after dad split. Thought I'd want the picket fence. The minivan. But lately, feels like a trap. The confession hung. Vulnerable. And I reached across, squeezing his wrist. Whatever you choose. You're enough. Always have been. His thumb brushed my knuckles. Fleeting, before he pulled back. Thanks, Alex. You're the only one who gets it. That touch haunted me. Replayed in loops as I edited late. The city lights blurring through rain-streaked windows. Was it nothing? Or the crack widening? Donald didn't quit. Flowers arrived Tuesday. Red roses. Cliché as a soap opera, with a note, second chances. Dinner? I trashed them, but the scent clung, cloying. Then a call from Stephen's mom. Aunt Teresa to me, since we were kids. Her jersey twanged thick with worry. Alexander. Honey, Stephen's been distant. Snapping at Emily. You hear anything? Work stress, I lied, hating the web tightening. But her pause said she knew more. Be gentle with him. Okay, that boy's got a heart bigger than his head. Guilt nod. Was I distress? The unspoken pull? Friday's game was brutal. Ankle twist on a wet court. Me limping off cursing. Stephen half carried me to his truck, arm firm around my waist. Yar. Nah. Just ice. At my place. He played nurse, fetching frozen peas and ibuprofen, his hands careful on my skin. This is stupid, he muttered, taping the wrap. You push too hard, says the guy who works 60-hour weeks. Our faces close, breath mingling, and time stuttered. His eyes dropped to my mouth, then away, color high on his cheeks. Stephen, don't. He stood abrupt, gathering his keys. Get some rest. I'll check in tomorrow. The door shut soft, but the silence roared. I hobbled to my phone, thumb hovering over Donald's number. Fuck it. Dinner. Neutral ground. One talk, then done. He chose a bistro in the East Village, all exposed brick and candlelight, the kind of place where secrets fermented like wine. He was waiting, suit sharp, smile tentative. You look good, Alex. Tired, but good. We ordered pasta for him, salad for my nerves, and danced around mines. I came out, he said over appetizers, voice low, full rainbow flag. Parents disown me, but fuck him. I'm building something real now. With you. The waiter refilled water. Oblivious. Dawn. That ship sailed. Sunk. Actually, because of him, not a question. Stephen. The straight fantasy. He's not a fantasy, I snapped. Fork clinking glass. He's real. My friend. Donald leaned in, eyes gleaming. Friends don't look at friends like he looks at you. I saw it. That night at the bar when I met you too. Jealousy. Alex. Buried deep. My pulse thrummed. You're projecting. He's engaged. Engagements break. He signaled for the check. Casual as a coup. Think about Chicago. Away from this. Limbo. I left him with the bill and a headache. The rain slicking my walk home. Limping up my stairs. Key and lock. And there, Stephen, on my landing, six-pack in hand, face etched with something raw. Couldn't sleep, he said. No preamble. Emily's at her sister's. Can I come in? We ended up on the fire escape. City sprawl below like a glittering trap. Beers cracked. Stars hidden by clouds. Talk to me, I urged, ankle propped on a crate. What's eating you? He stared at his bottle, label peeling. I told Emily about the doubts. Kids, the whole deal. She flipped, said I'm selfish. That I've changed. A swallow. Have I? No. Firm. You're growing. That's not selfish, that's honest. His knee bumped mine. Stayed. You're the only one who says shit like that. Sees me. Not the role. The air crackled. Charged. Stephen. Wait. He set the beer down, turning full to me. Rain misting his hair. That night, when I walked in, I couldn't stop thinking about it. You. Bear. Real. It scared me. Alex. Because it felt. Right. My world tilted. What are you saying? I'm saying I've been lying. To Emily. To myself. For years. His hand found mine. Tentative. It's you. Always you. The kiss was inevitable. Soft at first, beer and rain and revelation, then deepening. His fingers in my hair, pulling me close. Fireworks in my chest, the city fading to a hum. But as his lips parted, a car alarm wailed below, shattering the spell. He pulled back, eyes wide with terror. Shit. What did I? Stephen. Wait, but he was gone, bolting down the stairs. Truck roaring to life before I could catch my breath. Alone. I touched my lips, tasting salt, tears, rain. The line had crossed, and now the fall. The days after that kiss blurred into a fever dream, my ankle healing faster than my head. I called out sick from the edit bay, pulling up with takeout and true crime docs. Anything to drown the loop. His mouth on mine, the panic in his eyes, the squeal of tires fading into the night. Stephen went dark, no texts, no calls, just a void that echoed louder than the subway. Emily posted on Facebook, a blurry selfie from a bridal expo. Caption, dreaming of forever ring happily ever after. Knife twist. Donald, sensing blood, circled back. Lunch at a falafel joint in Astoria. His treat, his eyes scanning me like a script for flaws. He ghosted. Huh. Classic straight boy panic. Shut up, I muttered, chickpeas crumbling under my fork. It's not. We're figuring it. He snorted, wiping tahini from his lip. Figuring. Right? Like when I figure my way out of your bed. Leaning in, voice silk over steel. Come to Chicago. Alex. I booked you a ticket. Open-ended. Let's rewrite our ending. The ticket burned in my pocket, digital, but heavy as lead. Temptation. Again, dressed as escape. Ruby caught me staring at it later. Over coffee in her Williamsburg walk-up. Sequins from last night's gig still glittering on the rug. Don't, she said, reading me like Braille. That's running, not rewriting. Face the boy, or lose him for good. But facing meant risking the friendship that had anchored me through Mom's chemo, Dad's disappearance, my own coming out at 16 when the neighborhood kids spray-painted fag on our garage. Stephen had been there, paint roller in hand at dawn, scrubbing silent while I cried. They're idiots, he'd said. You're Alex. My Alex. My Alex. The words mock now, as I drafted 100 texts, deleting each. We need to talk. Was it real? Don't marry her. Sent none. Instead, I drown in work. The doc's final cut due. Interviews with survivors whose loves were stolen by plague or prejudice. One man, widowed at 25, his voice gravel, regrets the real killer. Kid, say it while you can. Sunday, I caved. Drove to his shop in Red Hook. The bay doors opened to the harbor wind. Classic cars gutted like patience on tables. He was under a '67 Mustang, legs sticking out, wrench clanging. Steve, a beat. Then he rolled out, grease-streaked, eyes guarded. Alex. Ankle better. Yeah. I shifted, hands in pockets. Us. He wiped his forehead with a rag, avoiding my gaze. I broke it off with Emily. Last night. Told her. Everything. Air whooshed out of me. And she's wrecked. Blames you. A ghost of a smile. Said you're a bad influence. Turning me all Hollywood queer. I laughed. Brittle. She always hated my short films. He stood, tossing the rag aside, closing the distance. I told her it was me. Always me. The doubts. The looks. The way I'd cancel dates to hang with you. His hand hovered, then settled on my arm. I'm sorry I ran. Scared shitless. Man. Of losing you as a friend. You won't. I covered his hand, pulse sinking. But if we're doing this, it's all or nothing. No half measures. His nod was solemn, thumb tracing my wrist. All in. We kissed again. There amid the oil drums and engine hum. Slower this time. Exploratory, like mapping a familiar street after a blackout. His stubble rasped, hands tentative on my hips, and for the first time, hope tasted like possibility, not poison. But Donald's shadow loomed. That night, over burgers at Shake Shack in the Flatiron, Stephen opened up, the fear of his mom's judgment. The buddies who drift once word spread. Bay Ridge isn't exactly rainbow-friendly. What if they turn on us? They won't, I lied. Ketchup on my chin. And if they do, we have each other. And Ruby, she'll throw a parade. He grinned. That boyish flash. And stole a fry. You're optimistic for a filmmaker. Storyteller's curse. We walked the high line after. Rails to trails blooming with fall asters. Tourists snapping pics oblivious to our lace fingers. Hidden in the crowd. At the end, overlooking the Hudson, you pull me close, chin on my shoulder. This feels right. Scary, but right. Yeah, I whispered, wind tugging my jacket. It does. Bliss. Fragile as spun sugar. Monday, the doc screened at a small fest in Tribeca, standing room only. Ruby front row in full diva. Applause thundered. A producer slipped me a card. Let's talk series. Stephen waited outside. Flowers in hand, daisies. My favorite. Because you're uncomplicated, he joked. We celebrated at a speakeasy off Canal. Jazz humming low. His knee pressed to mine under the table. Proud of you, he murmured, toasting with whiskey neat. To us. But as the ice melted, his phone buzzed Emily. He silenced it, but the glow lingered. She wants closure. Tomorrow. I nodded. Stomach nodded. Go. Be kind. He was. All day shooting B-roll in the village. I waited. Text sparse, rough. Miss you. Evening brought him to my door. Hollow-eyed, bottle of red in hand. She cried. A lot. Said I was her future. That this us is a phase. Fuck that, I said, pulling him inside. It's not. We talked till midnight. Wine loosening tongues. His first crush on a swim team captain. Buried deep, my terror of rejection. On the couch, his head in my lap, fingers tracing tattoos on my arm. He slept. I watched him, chest rising steady, and vowed, no more secrets. Lies we tell ourselves. The bomb dropped Wednesday, courtesy of Donald. A package at the shop, script pages, my old ones from NYU, annotated in red pen, brilliant, but predictable. Let's collaborate. Chicago awaits. Tucked inside, a photo, us at 20, tangled in sheets. My face blissed, his arm possessive. How? I'd burn the prints. Rage dialed his number. What the fuck? Dawn? Blackmail? Laughter? Cold? Concern? Alex? Stephen needs to see who you really are, chasing ghosts. You're the ghost. I hung up, hands shaking, and forwarded the pic to Stephen with one word. Help. He showed minutes later. Face thunder. He sent this to Emily too. She's spiraling, threatening to tell everyone. Make a scene at the wedding remnants. Wedding's off, I reminded, but guilt clawed. This is my fault. No, he cut my face. Fierce. It's his. We'll handle it. We drove to Donald's Hotel in Midtown, the doorman eyeing us like trouble. Suite 1408. He answered shirtless. Smug. Gentleman. Threesome. Stephen lunged. Fist cocked. But I grabbed him. Don't. He's not worth the assault charge. Donald smirked, leaning on the jam. Stephen, right? The straight savior. Heard you dumped the girl. Heroic. But Alex? He's broken goods. I put him back together once. You won't. Shut your mouth, Stephen growled. But doubt flickered, poison seeping. I stepped forward, voice steel. We're done. Dawn. For good. Lose my number. Or next time, it's lawyers. He laughed, but his eyes were dead. Run along. Boys. Sid'll eat you alive. Outside. Elevator descent silent. Stephen's jaw clenched. You believe him? About fixing you? No. Lie. Donald had been my first scar, the one that taught love could wound deeper than fists. He's desperate. Stephen nodded, but the seed was sown. That night, alone, I scrolled old texts, Stephen's encouragements, Donald's apologies. A voicemail from Emily. Unhinged. You stole him. You homewrecker. I'll ruin you both. Paranoia peaked. I texted Stephen. You okay? Reply. Need space. Processing. Space. The death knell. Thursday brought chaos. Ruby called. Frantic. Emily's at the shop. Screaming. Cops involved. I raced over. Sirens wailing in the distance. Stephen stood outside. Arms crossed. Emily in cuffs. Mascara rivers. She broke in, he explained. Voice numb. Smashed tools. Yelled about us being abominations. Mom's inside. Calming her. Cops took statements. I lied smooth. Just a jilted ex. But her glare promised war. Stephen pulled me aside. Rain starting. This is it. Alex. The fallout. We can't. Can't what? Heart fracturing. Keep pretending it'll be easy. He raked hands through wet hair. I love you. God, I do. But the world's not ready. And maybe I'm not. The punch landed. Airless. So what? We end before we start. No. Desperate. Pause. Till the dust settles. Pause. Like a hell breath. Unsustainable. I nodded, numb, and walked away. Brooklyn Bridge lights mocking through the downpour. Home. The apartment echoed empty. I packed a bag, Chicago ticket staring. Donald's win. Unwitting. Friday. Screening after party at Ruby's. Drag queens. Allies. Toast to resilience. I fake smiles. Champagne bitter. Stephen texted. I'm sorry. Call me. Deleted. Saturday. Airport bound. Phone died mid-Uber. Gate 27. Boarding pass crumpled. And there Stephen, breathless. Gate crasher badge from a buddy at security. Alex. I froze. Bag slipping. What? Saw the ticket. In your email. Told Emily I forwarded it. He panted. Eyes wild. Don't go. Please. Too late. I choked. You paused us. I'm done waiting. He grabbed my arm. Voice breaking. I was wrong. Scared. Stupid. But losing you? That's the real end. Fight with me. For us. Tears blurred the gate agent's call. Passengers boarded. Oblivious. Why now? Because you're my Thunder Road. My everything. His forehead to mine. Public but fuck it. Marry me? Someday. When the world's ready, or when we make it. Laughter bubbled. Hysterical. You're insane. Insanely yours. I dropped the bag. Kissed him. Fierce. Announcements fading. Yes. But as we tangled, a shadow loomed. Emily's brother. Burly. Storming the gate. You faggots ruined her. Fists flew, his on Stephen. Mine swinging wild. Security swarmed. Zip ties biting. Chaos. Headlines brewing. Engaged man's gay affair sparks airport brawl. And holding. Stephen bruised, but unbroken. Grinned through split lip. Worth it. Every punch. Bail posted by Ruby. Dawn breaking over the skyline. Donald's text. Congrats? Blocked. Weeks blurred. Lawyers for Emily's threats. Media vultures circling our scandal. Stephen's mom baked pies. Tentative truce. As long as he makes you happy. Son. Buddies drifted. But new ones bloomed. Queer filmmakers. Auto geeks with flags on their trucks. The doc aired on PBS. Ratings spiking. My name in credits next to Steven's thank you in the scroll. To the man who fixed my heart. One night, Highline again. His ring, simple band. Engraved Thunder Road, slipped on my finger. Not legal yet, he said. But forever. I kissed him. City, eternal below. Forever. But forever's a promise. Not a shield. The backlash hit like a nor'easter. Steven's shop vandalized. Spray paint slurs curling like smoke signals. My inbox a war zone of hate mail. Slurs from trolls hiding behind keyboards and basements across flyover states. Emily's family lawyered up, suing for emotional distress, her deposition painting me as the seducer, Steven the victim of my predatory wiles. He was straight till you, her words, via leak to the Post, screamed from newsstands at the bodega. Steven raged in our new Astoria, 2-bedroom. The one with the bay window overlooking the train's rattle. This is bullshit. We didn't ask for this circus. I held him, his sobs hot against my neck. The man who'd once bench-pressed me in jest, now fragile as cracked glass. We fight, I echoed his airport vow. Together, Ruby rallied the troops, a benefit screening at the Angelica, proceeds to queer youth shelters. The house packed, faces a mosaic of allies and skeptics, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. On stage, Steven beside me, hand in mine under the podium. This story, I said, voice steady for the mics, isn't just history. It's now. Our now. Applause thundered. But outside, protesters chanted. Signs like barbs, God hates gays. We slipped out the back, into a waiting car, hearts pounding. Worth it? I asked, echoing him. His squeeze every time. Donald resurfaced, not as villain but olive branch, a job offer at his agency's Chicago outpost. Remote, for when it gets too hot. We met neutral, a diner off the turnpike, his eyes hollowed by his own scandals. I pushed too hard. SAR doesn't cut it, but take the gig. Fresh start. I sip coffee. Black. Why? Redemption arc, rye. And because I loved you enough to let go. Steven. Across the booth. Not grudging. Thanks. Maybe. We didn't take it. But the gesture cracked the ice. Forgiveness. Slow thaw. Winter gripped the city. Snow blanketing the bridges like shrouds. Steven proposed proper, knee in the crunch, under the Williamsburg, ring glinting in headlight beams. Marry me, Alex Russo. Make this legal. Messy. Hours. Tears froze on my lashes. Yes. God. Yes. Planning was guerrilla, courthouse quiet. Ruby officiating in a gown sewn from rainbow silk. Mom, frail but fierce, gripped my hand. He looks at you like your father never looked at me. Steven's crew, the loyal half, toasted with craft IPAs. Emily's absence a ghost. Her settlement signed in silence. Honeymoon in Provincetown. Off-season hush. Dunes whispering to the Atlantic. We walked beaches barren, his arm around me against the gale. Regrets? He asked, shells crunching underfoot. None. Truth. The scars, Donald's abandonment. The walk-in shock. Emily's fury had forged us, stronger than steel. Back in the grind. Life layered on, my series greenlit. Episodes on untold queer tales. His shop franchised, with a Pride Tune line for the Allies. Conflicts lingered, family holidays tense. His mom's prayers now whispered blessings. A bar fight in Hell's Kitchen. Knuckles bloodied, defending a kid's first kiss. But the depths? We plumbed them together. Therapy Tuesdays. Unpacking the closets. His internalized shame from Catholic school taunts. My fear of abandonment etched by Dad's ghosting. You're safe, He'd murmur post-session, tangled in sheets. No rush, just presence. One spring, the call came, Emily, sober 6 months. Voice small, can we talk? Peace. We met at a park in Jersey. Neutral grass. She was thinner, eyes clear. I hated you, blamed you. But it was me, clinging to a version of him that wasn't real. Tears, then hug. Be happy. Both of you. Closure. Bittersweet. Summer brought the storm's echo, Donald's funeral. Car wreck in the windy city. Drunk driver. We flew out, Stephen's hand in mine through the service. His parents' eulogies laced with half-truths. At the grave, wind whipping tulips. I laid a stone. Rest easy. Dawn. You set us free. Back home. High on the roof. City sprawl infinite. Stephen pulled me close. Think he's watching? Smirking. Probably. Laughter. Free. Years folded. Adoptions talked. A surrogate named Mia carrying our son. Theo, dark curls like mine. Blue eyes like his. Bay Ridge block party. Neighbors toasting the dads. Old slurs faded to folklore. But the heart's not linear. On our 10th, anniversary eve, Stephen confessed over candlelight pasta. I still dream of that night. Walking in. The fear. Me too. I trace his ring. But I'd do it again. Naked. Exposed, all of it. He grinned, pulling me across the table. Perv. Kiss. Deep. The world narrowing to us. In the end, it's not the hooks or the heartbreaks that define, but the quiet mending, the choice. Daily. To stay. America's vast. Flawed heart beats in us. Resilient. Romantic. Raw. And in that pulse, we're home.